welcome to Who's Your Daddy. First off, thanks for the great feedback for last week's show. I received some really good posts on Facebook and some good emails from you guys. Please continue sending through your comments, and remember all my contact details will be on the screen after the show. So take it down and drop me an email, follow me on Twitter, just make contact, okay? Now, if this is your first time with us, it's really great to have you on board. I'm Marlon Abrahams. Tonight we're tackling the sticky subject of how to play nice in a divorced or single parenting scenario. Now, some of us have had personal experience of the stress and trauma of divorce or a breakup which involves children. And some experts even go so far as to say that the trauma of divorce is second only to that of the death of a loved one. Now just think about that for a second. It's pretty hectic. Tonight my guests and I discuss this prickly pear and find out what men's rights are, and if indeed there are ways to play nice and have a good relationship with your ex. In the best interest of the child, of course, which I presume both of you love. So if you do love your child, you've got to listen to what we've got to say, and if you're having issues with your ex, tonight's going to be just for you. But before we get there, just a quick reminder to read my columns in the Saturday Star, on samen.co.za, and on parent24.com. And please post some comments because we'd like to bring them onto the show, discuss it a bit, and give you the feedback that you need. And remember, the show's live, it's interactive. We're going to flash a number on screen later. Take it down, give us a call later. There'll be a segment for you guys to call in. You can pose questions to my guests as well. And more great news is that show 1 and 2, which as you remember was, show 1 was about conception, show 2 was about the sexuality of the breasts and breastfeeding, is now available on YouTube. So if you've missed it, go and find me on Facebook. Just type in search my name, send me a friend request. I'd love to be your friend, and you can follow the links to the shows on YouTube. But on with the show, and let's start by introducing my guests. Welcome to Gary Da Silva from Fathers for Justice. Ms. Masanda Peter, she's a fellow columnist and blogger and a hot single mom, which you'll see. And of course, Spencer Klein, single dad and aspirant author. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
It's great to have you guys on board. Now, Masanda, let's start with you. A while ago, I remember you writing a really, shall we say, controversial column about black men in particular being absent and not being there as parenting role models. And I also remember the column going viral. In other words, it was being emailed left, right, and center.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that column.
The column was called Where's the Black Dad? And the reason for the column is that I felt that as a writer, it's very important for me to conscientize the society out there to say black fathers are not there for their children. And the main reason as well is to also to bring to the fore the cry of the mothers to say that please be there for your children, because a lot of fathers aren't there for their children. Not all of them, but a lot of them, I must say, are really not in their children's lives.
What is the reason for it? I mean, it sounds like, are they doing it purposely? Is there a reason why black men aren't involved? Or?
I'm really not too sure why they're not there, because, well, to me, I would say it's a whole lot of excuses, because some were saying that the mother doesn't allow me access to the children, or she's rude to me, she's doing this and that. But I believe deeply that if you want access to your children, you will get access, and I think you must fight for it. Okay. A whole lot of reasons, but excuses actually not even reasons.
Okay. Now, guys, especially the black men out there listening to Masanda, I expect you to call in later and challenge her on that. But I want to go to Gary right now. Is it as easy as that? I mean, Masanda's saying they aren't there and they're making excuses. If I'm an involved black dad or whatever color dad, is it as easy as just saying, listen, I want to, and I mean, what are my rights?
Well, I wish every single father out there had a mother like Masando, quite honestly, because our experience is that, for fathers to get access, to have proper access to their children, is a physical improbability. For at least approximately 74% of the fathers out there, they are automatically denied right of contact with their children. And there's various excuses. Oh no, he's not paying maintenance, he doesn't come regularly. And we've got to look at the socio-economic situation of it as well. Like we're talking about guys that, guess what, they're truck drivers or they're petrol jockeys or stuff like that. These guys invariably don't have the financial resources to just go and visit and be and participate with their children at will, okay? And we have found as Fathers for Justice, a lot of the parents, both mothers and fathers, don't really know, A, what their responsibilities are, and B, what they should be doing to participate in their children's lives. Okay. So yes, we would love all of the mothers out there to say, guys come and participate in our lives. But the reality is vastly different.
Okay, the example you raised there, like truck drivers and that, okay, you can understand that. But let's say there's an able-bodied guy, and like Masanda saying that...
well, if he's able-bodied, you know what? He needs to show up and grow up and take responsibility for his responsibility.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at.
We're not trying to negotiate about that.
Okay, but now let's get to this issue, because here's a guy, able-bodied, and he wants to be part of his child's life, and then the woman, as is what we've all experienced to some degree, says, because I'm a bit peed off with you because you dumped me or whatever, so you're not going to see your child or whatever. Now, that kind of scenario happens all the time. I mean, I get calls, I get emails about that. Excuse me. From a rights issue, do we as men, as single or divorced men, have a right to access to our child? What does the law say on that?
Okay, if you have a look at section 19, okay, that's pertaining to the married mother and or biological mother has automatic rights and responsibilities towards the child.
Yeah.
Section 20 refers to the married father. He assumes same or similar rights of that of a married mother. Section 21 is what was termed out of wedlock fathers.
Yeah.
If they comply with one of the following 4 criteria, they identify themselves with the father, the mother identifies them as the father, they pay or attempt to pay maintenance, and or they pay damages under customary law, they automatically assume same or similar rights of that of the married of the biological or married mother.
Okay, so the short answer is they have rights.
They have rights. And if you have a look in my particular scenario, I took out the Children's Act, I read it, and I said, well, there's going to be no hassle. Okay, 8 years down the line, I still don't have proper contact with my daughter.
8 years.
8 years down the line.
And why is that? Why is it taking so long?
Because the law is not prescriptive enough, and there is no retributive action that can be taken against the truant party. Okay, so we are saying that under Section 19, 2021, in our opinion, as Fathers for Justice, it is the maternal preference rule written in another way. And the state is derelict of duty. Okay. It has failed to provide the golden rule by which we allow children to have contact with their parents. Yes, there is a mention about conducting yourself in the best interest of the child in Section 6, but...
Gary, I've just got to jump in there. We need to go to an ad break, 100%. But I think we're getting to the crux of the matter now. When we get back, we're going to go in a little bit more deeper. I'm going to get Spencer and Masanda to give us real examples of what they're experiencing with their exes. And please, I'd like you guys to call in to share your experiences with us. We're going to be right back after the break. Welcome back. You're watching Who's Your Daddy, the first ever parenting show hosted by a man, me. Well, tonight we're talking the rules of disengagement, and I can tell you it's been pretty hot off air. The guys are at each other's throats here, and it's going to be interesting. Well, but we're basically discussing how to play nice with your ex in the best interest of the child. What I'm trying to get at here is to get, exes to realize when they don't play nice with each other, it affects the child, and that's the most important part, or the most important piece of the puzzle in this scenario. Now, Spence, I want to go to you. You're writing a book at the moment about relationships and especially divorced relationships. Am I right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm assuming that you've done lots of research and you've done lots of interviews and stuff. Out of that sort of interview process and your research process, is there sort of a secret formula that you've discovered? Are there people that play nice with their exes and actually, put the children first and that kind of thing? What's your take on what's happening out there, or what people should be doing?
Okay. Obviously, there are people who play nice. A lot of people that don't play nice. And I've interviewed quite a few people. Often you would find, from my case, and what I've discovered with guys, that their access to the children seems to be blocked in some way. That the women are using the children as weapons, almost like in a fight as such, to control them or basically try and run the relationship. And at the end of the day, the children always tend to suffer. And I find... I know Gary said a few things earlier, but I find that guys aren't doing enough to get to the kids. I mean, these are the guys that I've interviewed and the people I've interviewed. They're not doing enough to form a relationship or build a relationship with their children.
But now,
yes,
I mean, I'm obviously in that situation as well with the mothers of my 3 kids, and I found what worked for me is never to forget that you once had an emotional bond with that person. they are responsible for the upbringing of your child more so than you, and you have to respect that. And a lot of that way of thinking for me means putting up with a lot of emotional drama, because women are women. We love them because they're crazy. I mean, come on, that's what makes them exciting. And you've got to take that in. But that's been my experience. But sometimes it gets to a point, I think, Gary, you get this a lot, where guys just hit a brick wall all the time. The woman says, no, you did this to me then, and whatever. I think, what's the advice to guys that are coming up with that scenario?
Marlon, it's a difficult one. If we could get to parents before the whole legal battle starts, I would strongly suggest that you leave the lawyers and the advocates and the psychologists out of the scenario, because they are the problem, the whole problem, and nothing but the problem in the situation. Okay. The law under Section 32 does insist that parents enter into a process of mediation. Mediation comes a long way to addressing the situation. But we were just talking about it now off air about, I'm cross with him and she's cross with me, and there's emotions involved and all of those kind of good things. The bottom line is that the law fails to provide proper guidance to the parents at point of separation, and we've got some ideas about what needs to happen there. But we would suggest to parents, grow up and show up and participate and be responsible parents first and foremost. Okay. Secondly,
absolutely.
Okay, before you go to point number 2, I want to pick up, Masana, I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here. You were saying how angry you were, when your breakup happened, and you get to the point where the guy just isn't there, and eventually after a while he comes back, and the example you used was, you looked at the phone, saw the number, and it was like a year later, and you thought, you know what? I kind of almost buy into that. If somebody wanted to be in my child's life and it took them a year to get there, I'd say, where's the commitment level? But then you said something, you eventually saw the light and you tried. Talk to me through that from a woman's perspective, and the anger you had to deal with, and how your son's responsibilities or your responsibility as a mother factored into where you are now.
Okay, I think first and foremost, you need to allow us women to go through the emotions. You might not like it, but please do. Allow us to go through the emotions, and then eventually some of us do see the light. Not all of us, but some of us do see the light. It does happen. But what I don't understand is when you allow the guy access to the child to say, no, you know what, it's actually, let's talk about this. It's fine, you can come and see the child and all of that, but they don't step up. Now that is a problem, because now it takes you back to this whole anger thing where you just don't understand, because now you've grown up, you've realized that, you know what, it's not about you, it's about the child. Now come and see the child, have access to the child, and it's not only about money. I find that a lot of fathers out there think that having access to the child is bringing a toy or bringing money.
Absolutely
the time is very important that you spend with the child.
Now, what do you want the guys to do? I mean, I know about time, okay, but now the guys with your son, what is the expectation from you as a mother in terms of that interaction, son and father? What role do you see? It's
very important that they build a relationship, because there are times where my little one will say, Mama, where is Daddy? And I'm thinking, the other day I actually said, I don't know. And I'm sure in his little mind he's thinking, why wouldn't you know? Because this was once your partner, this was once your boyfriend. But I really don't know, and I really think, I so wish that fathers out there can understand that the hurt that they are putting us through as mothers, because there are certain questions we cannot answer to our children. They must just be there. I know some of us women are stubborn and saying, you don't come near my child, but I also urge women out there to really be there for their to give fathers access to the children, and let's not use them to fight, because we can. I know we do, but let's stop doing that.
But I almost want to say that personally, I believe you should try your best. If you're a man or a woman and you want to get involved with your child's life, you should try your best. But sometimes there's a point when you have to say, you know what, this guy's a loser, or this woman is just not actually worth it. Let's say she's got an issue, or he's got an issue, whatever. Maybe it's best for that particular child not to be exposed to that parent if they're not showing that commitment. That's just a personal view. Spence, I know that you've got a very good relationship with your ex. Right. How has it come about? How did you manage to get there? Because I know it wasn't always that way.
Same story. Emotions, anger. For about a year, I think all I wanted to do was drive up to my wife's place, ex-wife's place, have a conveyor belt, put my child in there, wheel out, get into the car and drive. Because, you know, she was angry all the time.
Yeah.
And there
Because
was
of the
no
break, she was angry because of the
communication,
breakup.
Because of the
Yeah.
breakup and everything. And the one thing that I really hated at that stage was she would choose that particular time to have a fight over something,
Yeah.
over
Ooh,
anything.
yeah. Ooh,
So now you're there, and now the child is here, and
okay, quickly,
Fighting,
how has that
fighting,
changed?
yes.
I mean, what do you
look,
think?
it took a while. But basically, what I did was I just showed consistency, coming there every time,
That's the
making
key.
sure I'm with my child, making sure the maintenance payments are there, going to his soccer games, going to his judo
So
practices.
even if she
you
was
know,
giving you emotion and drama and shouting and you, telling you the worst things since, you know, whatever, you persistence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
what we
basically
need
the
to
key.
see. That's
What
what
is
we
it?
need to see. Actually, a lot of guys out there who are persistent, who are patient, who are going to fight for their children.
Yeah.
I think, to me, it's not an excuse when you say, oh, she doesn't allow me access. I mean, really, fight for your child, because if you were to take my child away from me, I would fight for him.
Great. I'm glad you said that. We're going to go to an ad break shortly, but when we get back, Masanda ended by saying, fight for your child. I'm going to go to Gary when we come back, and we're going to talk about why men aren't fighting anymore. Apparently, we become wusses, and Gary's going to tell us more about that. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And we're back. Welcome back. We're discussing single parenting and divorced parenting as it pertains to the child and how the exes can play nice. Now, before the break, we got a bit sort of heated on the subject, and Masanda was saying for her the key is for guys to fight. You've got to fight for the right or the need to be in your child's life. You know, don't give up. Spencer was saying that what worked for him was to be consistent. Yes, his partner was sometimes irrational, a bit emotional, and it's understandable. You know, it happens to all of us after the relationship breaks down. But because he was consistent and he showed interest and he was always there, eventually she broke down, and now they're playing nicely. Apparently he went to hospital earlier to see her in hospital. Shame, we hope she's doing well. But it worked for Spencer, so try it. And let's go back to Masanda. You were saying you want the guys to fight. Now, an interesting take on this whole issue. Gary and I were talking off air. Gary's got an interesting theory about why men apparently don't fight anymore. And I was quite shocked when I heard it. And Gary, please tell us a little bit more about that whole scenario.
Specifically in the South African scenario, you had the apartheid era where fathers or men migrated from the rural areas and came into Johannesburg to go into mines. Those young children that were left back in the rural areas were ostensibly risen or raised by the mother and the grandmother and the auntie and stuff like that. Now, if you have a look at boys and girls, girls need both parents, but to raise girls into women, it is a woman's responsibility. To raise boys into men is the men's responsibility. Now, what is happening is not only in black culture, but also in Western or white culture as well.
Yeah.
Because of the breakdown of the family unit, you find that the women are raising boys into men, but they don't have a reference of what it means to be a man. Okay? So now you have these 35-year-old mommy's boys that don't know how to communicate as an adult male with an adult female. So they either pull back or they become violent. And our society sits back stunned and amazed as to why there's so much violence. Why is there a breakdown, the continuation of the breakdown of the family unit? It's because women have been left with the responsibility, ostensibly, raising both boys and girls into adulthood. And there's a lot of socialization. Girls need to see what it means for a woman to interact with a man.
Yeah.
How do they get that? With their father. Boys need to see what it means as a man for me to act as the head of the family, to be responsible, to take responsibility for my children, to communicate with the woman, to communicate with my wife. That role model has been taken away.
I suppose that puts even more pressure on us single guys.
Yeah.
Having said that, and I buy into it completely, it makes complete sense to me. I mean, I've got 3 daughters, and you're right. I mean, there's no way I'm going to be able to teach them half as effectively how to become little ladies or women or responsible women than their mothers can. I mean, I'm not a woman, I don't know that. So that I buy into that completely. But what scared me about what you said was it it puts even more emphasis on us single guys to be there for our children. We have to push to be there because they need our role model capabilities. Yeah.
And this is where the law actually fails both parties. I mean, like, to understand Fathers for Justice, we're not interested in what mommy wants and we're not interested in what daddy wants. We are concerned about what the child must have. And the child must have daily physical, meaningful, participatory, emotional, contact care, guardianship and maintenance with and by both biological parents.
That sounds, I can just tell you've said that many times before.
Yeah. And, you know, and our children do not separate from the parents. So yes, I go back to the point. We understand that emotion is taking place. There is anger. There is a breakdown of communication. There is a breakdown of trust. But you know what? For the sake of the kids, the parents have got to put that aside. Go and see a psychologist. Go and see the rabbi. Go for professional counseling or something. Yeah. Get over yourself.
Let's just go back to the whole masculinity thing. I mean, I'm sitting here as a guy and I'm thinking, yes, you know. Yesterday I was on another show and they were performing like Botox procedures on guys. And I'm thinking, you know, where are we going with this? You know, where's that rough and tough masculinity that makes us a man and that makes women attracted to? I mean, the sort of stereotypical image of being a man. It is what it is. How do we fix it? Can we fix it? Can we go back? What can we do?
Absolutely, we can fix it. And it's basically men need to step into their power as men, and you know, go and look for the wild man. Society has repressed the wild man. We want this metrosexual. We want this pretty boy in a nice suit and stuff like that. Yes, a guy in a good-looking suit looks good, but it has its time and its place. Men need to start being men again. We need to go and find that wild beast in ourselves. No, we do.
Masanda, jump in here, please.
I wish that the wild beast can actually say, I'm going out there to look for my child. I want to take care of my child. So that warrior in you should be going out there full force.
Exactly.
Fighting for their children.
No, exactly. This is that wild warrior. You know, we've been taught, you know, that we need to step into our feminine side to raise children. Men don't need to step into their feminine side. We've been sold a lie, a massive lie in this whole thing. I need to step into my feminine side. When my daughter falls down and cries and I pick her up and I comfort her, it's not my feminine side. That's me as a man protecting her. It doesn't take a feminine side of me to change my daughter's nappy or bath her or feed her or anything like that. That's not a feminine side. It's logic.
Okay. Now I hear you and you're very passionate about it, and so you should be. Spencer, tell me about your feminine side.
This one not
No, I mean, she's to the right of us. What Gary's been talking about, I sort of buy it as well. You know, I mean, I don't sort of have to go into a feminine side when my daughter gets hurt or whatever. But what's your take on that?
Okay, my own take. Let me go into this. Feminine side, I think one needs to be in touch with feminine, I think, thought processes and things like that. But at the end of the day, you're still a man. In your home, the role of the man is you in charge, okay? And instinct.
Take charge.
Yeah, absolutely. You take charge, and I don't think. I mean, speaking about guys not coming forward to the party and supporting the child. I think it should be inside of you, inbred in you already, just to do that. It's just a sense of responsibility, because as a man, you are the father of the home, so you should just step up and be a man. That's the end of the day. That's what happens.
Guys, we've got to wrap up. Time's really flown. Thanks for participating. I know there's so much more that we want to talk about the subject. But I think to wrap up, guys have to fight. We've got to be consistent. And we need to start manning up, reclaiming our masculinity. I think that's the key. And I think, guys, if you are having problems with your exes and you can't have access to your kids, please, my details will be on the screen after the show. Drop me a line, follow me on Twitter. Just make contact. We'll put you in touch with Gary. I'm sure he'll be able to help you guys. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I hope you've learned something. And we'll be back here next week, same time, on Mindset Channel 319, right here on DSTV. Thanks so much for joining us.